Hello, everybody. Welcome to the May San Diego Market Update. My name is Ryan Real, Senior Partner with the Wannebo Real Estate Group, sometimes known as Leave It to Ryan. That's the team that I'm running here. All right, let's get to this. Let's get fast and furious. We got some crazy stuff going on. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the mortgage stuff. Let's start with interest rates. A lot of volatility, a lot of bouncing around. I'm sure you guys have seen this. Here we're looking at the 30-year fix. All right, so if we rewind all the way back over to October 19th of last year, 8.03%. That's where everybody lost their mind. From October 19th down to December 14th, so just about 2 months, we came down about a point and a half. Right? I want you to understand these are general numbers. I have a lender who can get better numbers than what you're seeing on here without a doubt. In general, this is just your middle of the road, decent credit, decent debt to income ratio. So if you have a great credit score, if you got a great debt to income ratio, if you make a ton of money, those numbers are going to be tremendously less. Everybody else, though, definitely going to be less. All right, so here is the bottom of the market right here, 6.62. This was on December 14th. We came up, dropped back down to 6.62 again on February 1st. And from there, we've been up. All right, so we hit 685 in the beginning of March, jumped up in about 2 weeks to set up into the sevens, down to the upper sixes. So you see this is volatile from the beginning of March till the end, beginning of April to the end of April. We have gone up about a half a point, and we've just simply been bouncing around. All right, so this is the 30-year fix. This is the within the county conforming loan limit here in San Diego. That is $1,007,000. All right, so interest rates just bouncing around. All right, we're going to get to odds of rate cuts and what that's going to look like here in a minute. All right, so those of you that are looking for a loan amount up over $1 million, we're looking at the 30-year fixed rate jumbo. Same basic play here. Back at the end of October, we were at 8. On December 12th, we were at 7.5, and in a period of 3 days, we dropped half a point. That's a key takeaway for the mortgage rates. When you see these drop, in general, they happen very rapidly. These aren't slow, gradual declines. The people that were locked and loaded and ready to go with the pre-approval letter, they had sat down and interviewed a buyer's agent. They had a clear list of homes. They were ready to take action when those interest rates dropped. Everybody else was like, oh no, we got to go get all our stuff into a lender. 2 or 3 days later, they were able to get into the game. And at that point, a lot of the best houses were gone, multiple offers. The market jumps every time, and we'll see this with the housing data. Every time these rates come down, the market jumps. So what we've looked at over the last month or so, the middle of April, we were at 7.64. We're currently at 7.6. It's just bouncing around right here. So call it between 7.5 and maybe 7.7 in this range is where we have firmly been over the last, let's call it a month. All right. Higher than we want, without a doubt. All right. But let me kind of give you a little preview with the housing data. All right. This is not your biggest problem. Right? The people that are fixated on this, unless this is prohibiting you from buying, unless the lender's telling you we can't qualify you, this is not your biggest problem. Right? So let's get to that. Let's talk about the odds. Right? So what do we need to see happening in order for the mortgage rates to come down? We need to see ultimately the Feds cut the rates. Right? The Fed is looking at inflation data, which appears to be sticky. They're still looking in the rearview mirror. They're not necessarily looking where the car is going. And then the second part of this is employment. All right. So when we see inflation come down, that's going to be driving the Fed to cut their rates. When we see a job report that is not good, when we see an uptick in unemployment, that is good for mortgage rates. All right. So those are the two. There's an interplay there at the Fed. So the May 1 meeting, there was no change. There was no cut. So we are still right where we were at. June 12th, these are odds. These are the same thing as betting on sports. There's an 11.1% chance that there's going to be a cut in June. So it's a very small chance. That's down from a 70% chance in the end of March. A little over a month and a week-ish, we have dropped from the 70% chance down to an 11% chance. We are looking at about a 31% chance in July, down from 84%. No meeting in August. We get into September, now we're at a 57% chance. November, 67%. December, 80%. This is good news and bad news for buyers, right? We know that rates are coming down. I've personally been speaking about this for a while. It's taken longer than everybody thought, without a doubt. When we get into the housing data, you're going to see very, very clearly why this is a very good opportunity for a lot of people when it comes to buying a property, right? There's two parts to play into it. There's the purchase price and there's the interest rate, right? Purchase price is your principal and your interest. Taxes are what they are here in San Diego. But when we're talking about the interest, that's a big number here that can move things around. So what we're looking at, the experts are projecting somewhere between 6.2 and 6.4%. That was 6.1% in our last live market update. So right about that same basic area. What does this mean for timing the market? What does this mean for rates coming down? Those of you that have to wait, those of you that are insistent upon waiting, it's probably going to be September before we're going to see the rates come down. There is no meeting in October. So we're looking at September. If we get a rate cut, we're going to see buyer activity increase. We will see more homes come on the market. I don't know that we're going to see an accumulation. We'll get to that here in the housing data. But this September timeframe, in this scenario, they're going to be indicating this before September 18. The cut would be somewhere around September 18, which means September 18, 19, 20 is when we're probably going to see those rates come down. So right after Labor Day, be prepared. Be ready. Here in November, right after the election, we are looking at a higher probability of rates coming down. So again, they're going to be leading into this. It's probably going to be drowned out by whatever election news is going on. But we'll be here. We'll be paying attention to this for you guys. So November 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there, be ready because we're rolling right into the holidays. In December, again, rates came down. We saw December last year exploded with pricing, with people buying homes. All right, so there's your info with the market, with the mortgage market. But let's get to the housing stuff. From here, we're going to go over a bunch of data, kind of paint a picture for you guys. Real quick though, before we get to that, I'm going to go through a ton of info. I'm going to go pretty quickly. You guys are going to get the replay. But if you have questions about this, or if you want to know how this pertains specifically to your market or your area or your price point, go ahead and scan one of these two QR codes. Buyers scan this one, sellers scan that one. Ultimately, we can set up a phone call, we can set up a Zoom meeting, an in-person meeting, whatever that needs to be, so we can go through your specific scenario. So go ahead and grab the phone, scan those guys real quick. I'll have them back up at the end, but just wanted to give you guys that opportunity now. That way you're not trying to take notes and get crazy here with the info. So, all right, let's go through this. All right, median sales price absolutely popped up again, another 4% increase. All right, so we are up just about 12% from the beginning of the year. Told you guys this was going to happen. It just the beginning of the year, people are motivated. We are into the heart of the buying season right now through April. May and June is going to be the same thing. So kind of rewinding this for you, pre-pandemic, or right into the pandemic, 585, 46% increase up to what was the all-time record at 855 in May of 2022. Had a little dip down through the end of the year, popped back up to 850 in last August, I should say 2023. From last August, which was, remember, the interest rates, that's when they really came up, back down to 805 in December, and we are now at $899,000 for your median sales price. This is everything. This is single-family homes, townhomes, twin homes, condos, mobile homes, modular homes. This is Borrego Springs out on the other side of the mountain, all the way to La Jolla, up by Camp Pendleton, all the way down by the border. This is every single thing. In terms of pricing projections, we're going to get to this in a little bit towards the end. It definitely want to stick around for that. All right, the next metric, months worth of inventory. We're actually seeing a little bit of an accumulation. We talked about this in the last couple of times. Buyer's market in San Diego, 6 months or more, 4 to 6 months is a neutral market, less than 4 months is a seller's market. We're clearly in a seller's market, but we see that from December of last year, 1.5 months, we're up to 1.8 months. Not a huge accumulation, but they are accumulating. So let's take a look at what that actually means in terms of real world inventory. So these are our active listings. Our normal healthy market here in San Diego, we have between 10 and 14, maybe 15,000 listings on the market. From about, I think this was July or August of 2019, right down to the bottom. All right. December 21 was the worst. This was our most recent peak, July of 2022, 5,300 homes. We currently are at 3,271. Currently at 3,271. You can see that there has been a gradual accumulation. Absolutely. In the last month, we've accumulated approximately 400 more homes on the market. Let's round that up to 4,000. Let's add 800 to it. Let's round it up to 4,000. We're still 3 times under where we should be. All right, so an accumulation of listings, what we're going to need to see is going to be a doubling or tripling at a minimum. So going to, let's call it 6,600 to 9,000 listings. That will start to shift the market massively from a very hardcore seller's market to a neutral market, potentially even to a buyer's market. So this is what we're looking with active listings. There are more options. We will most likely continue to see this increase as we go through the summer. Interest rates come down in that September timeframe. Maybe it continues. I think August is going to be a little bit of a lull. It tends to be. Schools are restarting. So I think we will definitely see a little downtick unless we see a cut in July. If we see an interest rate cut in July, which there was a reasonable chance, small but reasonable, we're going to see August continue on through, I think, September and October, November. When those rates do come down, it's going to pick right back up. So buckle up. We're going to have a wild year here. From here, we're going to look at new listings. All right, interesting data point here. So this is going back to 2021. We had 45, a little over 4,500, a little over 4,200, almost 4,300. About 2,800 here in June of last year. January, we had 2,600. We dipped down, came up a little bit, 2,760 new listings. Not a lot. Not a lot. A lot of people have the lock-in effect. They're not willing to give up their interest rate. It's not because they're greedy, but it's because they're looking at, hey, I can't afford the price for the bigger home. They're looking at, if I want to downsize and unload my, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,400 square foot home, I'm going to pay the same amount of money for a smaller house that I'm paying for this one. Why do I want to do that? All right, so we're looking at a lot of that going on with the new listings. Just something to keep in mind with that. From here, pending sales. This is a very interesting number. This is probably the second most interesting. The most interesting is the $899 for the median sales price, which is crazy. All right, so what we're looking at here is pending sales. So this is the number of offers written and accepted, which opened an escrow. Property went from an active listing to a pending listing. From the bottom in December of last year, we had 1,300 total transactions take place, total homes that went into escrow. That is an all-time low in San Diego. All right. From here, we have seen a 40% increase through the month of March, right? So January, February, March data. So this would have been the April report from last month. 40% increase, right? We told you this, and this is only the people that got their offers accepted. Every single client that we've helped get into escrow, buy a house, they face multiple offers, they face stiff competition. So we know the competition's up. In terms of transactions, we actually saw it dip down a little bit. Saw a little bit of a dip. And so let's talk about this. Let's stay here for a minute because this is an important metric. If we look back, and all I have on here is through 2021, when we hit the peak for the year, it doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get better than that. So this is probably June or July would be my guess. In 2022, we hit it in March or April. Maybe that was May, somewhere in that ballpark. Came back down. Last year, we hit the peak in 2023. This was April, May, maybe April, May, somewhere in that time frame. Never went above it. Is this the peak? I don't think it will be. I think this deflection downward that we saw was because the interest rates have gone up over the last month. I think that is largely what's responsible for this. But there is a potential that this 2,200-ish, call it, is going to be the highest number of sales. Competition could go down from here. Right? I don't think that's the case. I think as interest rates do come back down into the high sixes, start to trickle their way down, we're going to see buyers come back on the market. So I think that in terms of saying this is the peak, I think that's misleading, but we will see. We will get more data that we do know, but a little less competition. So all right, from here, let's get into some more projection stuff. We covered this last time, but I have another slide now that's coming on the back end of this. So this is the data from 2023, right? So 8.8% appreciation in San Diego. That was the highest level of appreciation for any city, any major city, let's call it, in the United States, right? That's a big number. Projections from the experts, again, once the rates get down into that 5.5% range, they're expecting an immediate 10% jump in purchase price. The competition is going to flood the market. Yes, a lot of them will bring a home onto the market with them, but that's going to get bought up by another one of the buyers that's already there. All right. Again, we're talking about looking for an accumulation of inventory, and we added 400. We accumulated 400, but again, we're at 3,200, 3,300. We need to get to 5,000 or 6,000 before we really start to have a conversation of less competition on a home. We need to get to that 9,000+ range before we're going to get to a more neutral market. All right. Now, for those of you waiting to save, the cost of waiting, right? This is a conversation I'm still having with people. Pricing went up on average $81,000 last year. That means that you are going to need to save $81,000 from now through next year just to keep pace with the market. The rate at which we are increasing in pricing in 2024 is greater so far than it was in 2023. All right, so let's take a look at what this means with some real world numbers in terms of the cost of waiting. All right, so let me orient you over here. We'll start, the columns are the same, we just have different price points. So on the far left-hand side, this would be a house value in 2023. In 2024, that's your 8% increase. So this is, let's say, January of 2023, January of 2024. All right. So the cost of waiting, if you're looking at, let's call it $1 million home, that home that was $1 million in 2023 is now $1,088,000. That's not accounting for the 11.7% increase. All right. So let me get the calculator out. Let's see what that guy looks like. $1,088,000 times 1.117, $1.215 million. It's up $215,000 this year. All right, but let's just look at this number here. All right, the total cost of waiting is $88,000 for the year. That's $7,333 a month, every single month, that somebody waited to buy a house. That's an average, obviously, through the year of 2023. If we get up to a $2 million home, that's $176,000. That's how much the home appreciated. That's $14,000 a month, over $14,000 a month. This is the real world cost of waiting. When we were talking about the interest rates, I said the higher interest rates aren't your biggest problem. This is your biggest problem right here. This is your biggest problem. If we had a $1,088,000 home in January, that's now over $1.2 million. People got priced out of that house. There are a lot of people that I've spoken with at the end of last year and the beginning of this year that they have been waiting. They're going to wait for a house. They have to have a single family home for whatever reason, and they are dead set on their price point. They will not consider going up more. They don't think the market can do it. They think it's going to come down. They're going to wait for interest rates to come down. They are priced out of that house. They're not buying now. They are now going to be going from, I want to buy a single family home, to I'm going to be happy to buy a townhome, because guess what? The townhomes are now creeping up to that same price. There is a cost to waiting. Your payment, whatever you pay for a home. You pay 1.5, you pay 2, you pay 3, whatever, $1 million. That purchase price does not change throughout the entire time you own the house. You paid $1 million for the home. They're not going to go back and go, hey, hold on, you owe us an extra $215,000. No, it's $1 million. It's $1 million. The interest rate can change, guys. When the interest rate comes down, you refinance out. It could be 6 months, could be 12 months, could be 18 months, could be 24 months. But here's what I know. You're going to wait 12 months. We're going to wait for those rates to come down to 5.5%. $88,000. $132,000 on a $1.5 million home. This is your biggest problem. This is your biggest problem. Projections, right? Interest rates. Let's sum this puppy up real quick. Interest rates, they're going to bounce around. We're going to have to see a Fed rate cut before they're going to come down. If we get a good jobs report, meaning unemployment goes up, we're going to see rates start to slide down. If we see inflation come down, rates will start to slide down. If we see a back-to-back inflation and jobs that are in favor of the mortgage industry, they'll slide down a little bit further. All right, we'll get down from the 7s to the 6s, maybe to the mid-6s, maybe back down to the lowish 6s. We see an interest rate cut, it's going to come down. When interest rates come down, the buyer competition is going to explode. That means you are going to face a tremendous amount of competition. All right, the last 2 clients that I got into escrow that are currently working through that process, they both went up against multiple offers. They both paid substantially over the asking price in order to win, and they both had contingencies that would scare people. That's the reality of the housing market. These are over $1 million homes. These aren't the lower priced ones that we're talking about. All right. Buyer competition, like we just said, it's going to go up. It is going to go up. As interest rates get into the 5s, watch out, brother. Watch out. It is coming. If you do have to wait for this, you'd better have an agent that knows what they're doing. If you don't, you go talk to someone who tried to buy a house in 2021. Here, go listen to what they have to say. They're going to tell you exactly what you're looking at, which is basically where we're at with the market right now. Inventory, again, we're looking for the accumulation. I think that we will see homes continue to come onto the market as we go through May, we go through June, probably even through July. We'll see some homes. It'll start to probably taper off in July. June tends to be that peak. It's going to depend on what the interest rates are doing. If the interest rates do slide back down into the 6s, especially into the mid 6s, we will probably see homes coming on. There's a lot of people that need to move, or that more accurately really, really want to move, but interest rates are blocking that for some reason or another. Median sales price, again, $899, guys. Right? And that is everything. That includes manufactured homes. That includes mobile homes. Right? That's everything. If we took out the mobile homes and the manufactured homes, we're well up into the mid 9s. If we look at single family homes, I believe we're over $1 million. All right. This number is going to continue to go up through the buying season without a doubt. I think that we will see pricing probably through into October, which will be pricing that was negotiated in July. We're going to see that go up. And then from there, it's just interest rates are going to be the real kicker there. We're going to have to see what happens. So that's what we're looking at. Let's get to some questions. I do have free gifts for you guys tonight. If you want, this is a buyer guide that I created, a seller guide that I created. Talks about the NAR settlement, how that's going to impact each group respectively. That's just breaking down what do you guys need to look at here as we're in the spring, looking to buy and to sell. So the QR codes work. There's the websites perfectly right there if you want them. But let's get to some of these questions. I know we had a few come in. So if you have any questions, type them in. All right. Nathan, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's start with a couple that have come in. The first one is Nitin. How is the election season going to affect this? This is a great question. We had it asked last time, but let's go over this again. Traditionally speaking, in San Diego, anywhere basically when we get past the conventions, normally in August, so into September and October, the real estate market kind of slides to a halt. Everyone just wants to see what's going to happen. Half the country thinks the world's going to come to the end. If one person wins, the other half thinks the country's going to come to an end if the other person wins, and who knows? But real estate kind of grinds to a halt. If interest rates start coming down, which the odds are saying September is really the best shot for that first cut, I think we will see a massive increase in activity. If they come down again, if there's indications through the month of October, meaning jobs report, meaning inflation, if the Fed is giving indications that, hey, we're going to continue cutting, rates are going to slide down, right? Believe me, mortgage bankers, they do not like the high rates either. They want the rates in the mid fives too. So I don't know. I'm skeptical that there's going to be a large impact this election cycle, but you never know. We'll see as we go. So we got that one. Jacob, will we see more inventory this summer? Yes, we will see more. You're looking at that right now. So the homes that are coming on in May, those are the ones that are going to accept an offer and sell in June. Things that we see coming on towards the end of May, beginning of June, they're going to accept an offer and sell June, July. So you are in the heart of the buying season right now, the heart of homes coming on the market. Grab that buyer guide that's on there. It'll kind of break this down a little bit more. Sellers, grab this thing. It'll help you figure out, is this a good time to put it on the market? What do I need to do to position the property? So we got that. Becca, NAR settlement and impact. Good stuff. All right. I wrote in depth about those in both of those guides. The buyer guide is for buyers, seller guides for sellers. Download them both. You can get both sides of that argument. Do I think it's going to have an impact on purchase price? I don't know. When this first came out, it was doom and gloom, and real estate's going to come to an end, and a robot's going to help you buy a house. But let's be honest, do you want to talk to a robot or a human when you're spending $1 million+ dollars? You're buying the most expensive thing that you will most likely ever buy. Most people want a human that they can talk to. Most people like value. They respect professionalism. They want someone who's skilled, right? Finding the cheapest, the easiest, the least expensive, right? That's not the most important thing to most people. Some people out there, hey, I just want to save money. I don't care. Good luck. Have fun. Go get some. I'm here when that doesn't work for you. But do I think it's going to affect pricing? It's going to be determined. That's the best answer I have. There are going to be sellers who are going to offer a buyer side commission. It might be called something different. It might be a concession. Might still be called a commission. It just can't be put into the MLS. Plenty of other places it can be put into. So a lot of that's being flushed out. Is it going to affect the purchase price? Maybe by 1%, maybe by 1.5%. But I just don't know. I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to be market dependent. I think sellers are going to see the value of offering to pay a buyer's agent. I think that buyer's agents who are good at what they do are going to push the buyer's agents that are not out. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to have a big impact though. That's where I'm at right now. I guess we'll revisit this each month. All right, we got one that came in on the chat. Jeremy, how quickly will rates drop when the Fed cuts? Okay, good question. Rates come down very quickly, very rapidly. We've seen that. If we look at the data, rates are dropped. When rates drop, they drop over 2-3 days. Bam, half point. Takes longer to go back up. So I would tell you the best piece of advice, kind of getting to the second part of your question, you need to be locked and loaded and ready to go. If you are serious about buying a house, you need to go talk to a lender. You need to get a pre-approval letter. Right? Doesn't mean that you have to use it tomorrow. Doesn't mean you have to use it next month. But if rates come down, not in 30 days, but in 38 days, and you haven't talked to a lender, you have to compile all these documents. You got to get pay stubs. You got to get W-2s. You got to get bank account statements. You got to get all the stuff and dump all that in there. And then the lender looks at it and they might go, hey, I need this and this and that. I need a different version of that. And you're going, holy cow, I just want to buy a house. Okay, dang, that one's gone. Right? We've seen that happen repetitively starting last December. So just get in touch with the lender. If you need a lender referral, I got the #1 guy at guaranteed rate here in San Diego, top 10 in the country, Mohammed Tawi. Phenomenal phenomenal lender. I just mentioned both the two clients I currently have in escrow, both had a 10-day loan contingency. He beat the 10 days on getting them the full approval. So take that for what you want. All right. Any other questions coming in? I don't see any. Okay, there's one. I do not know how to pronounce your name. I'm going to go with the first part of Stella. All right, accumulation. What do I mean by that? All right, we'll make this last question. Accumulation of inventory. If we have 100 homes come on the market and 97 of them get purchased, we're accumulating 3. If we have 200 homes come on the market and 97 of them get purchased, we have 103. All right, we need to see that accumulation of homes. We need to get from 3,000, 3,300 listings to 4,300 to 5,300. We get to that, and now we will start to see a little bit of the pressure pulled off of the buyers. Right? Then interest rates come down, pressure goes right back on. All right, but we need to, in reality, get to 9,000 or more, and this is even with interest rates coming down, before we're going to start to see a lot of that pressure being pulled off of the buyers. So, all right, guys, that's our last question. We thank you guys for coming on. Again, grab these free buyer guides. Click the link there or scan the QR code. I just can't really click the link, can you? But scan that QR code. Quick web form to fill out. We'll get that over to you right away. Feel free to get both of them. They're really great. And so that's what I got for you guys. I appreciate you coming in. We'll get this replay to you shortly.